Okay, so we are going to work through some money mindset challenges. And I am going to just start going through some of the different issues that have been submitted. We're going to work through with any different number of techniques. And I encourage you, even if something might seem like it's not your exact issue, to be aware of, does it trigger anything within you as I'm going through this? There is a phenomenon that occurs, and I actually learned about this when I was going through my EFT training. It's called borrowing benefits. And it really is, it's an amazing thing. Okay. Whenever we are listening to someone else get an answer to a question, or we are witnessing someone else go through a transformational experience, we are able to kind of piggyback on that individual's growth, if you will. So even though some of these things might not exactly represent your money beliefs or your money programming, it may inspire a shift within you on your money stuff. So hopefully you will go through this with an open mind and an open heart and an intention to release and let go of all of your old stuff. It's not serving you. You're willing to release and let it go, and you're willing to elevate your own consciousness in the area of money, wealth, prosperity. All right, so let's start going through some of this stuff. All right, so fear of losing money. Now, we can all relate to this, I'm sure, to some extent. If you have ever been in a situation where you lost money, maybe you made a bad investment, maybe you invested in advertising and it did not yield you a return on investment. Maybe, geez, I mean, think about it. I mean, how many times have you gone to the store and you purchase something and the quality is lacking, and you basically just bought something that you cannot use, and it's a complete loss. It's a complete waste. For some people, it is, they invested in some real estate and maybe the market turned and they lost out, or you have some type of major unexpected financial setback, maybe medical issues or something with your home. So there's any number of different experiences that you may have had or witnessed in your life as a child. For instance, if you witnessed your parents having fear around losing money, or like me, I remember being a child, and I mean, money was always a huge conflict. There was a tremendous amount of scarcity. So any of those things, now I just notice anything that got triggered within you as I'm talking about this. Are you willing to let those feelings come up and let them pass through? Can you say yes to the feelings? Just remember, we're not saying yes to the challenge. We're not saying, oh, yes, that happened to me, let's have it some more. Right? We're saying, okay, this feeling is active within me. I'm acknowledging that this feeling is active within me, and I'm willing to let it come up and let it go. It's not serving me. I'm willing to release and let it go. So we're saying yes to allowing that energy to come up and allowing it to flow through. Now, if there's any resistance to that, we say yes to the resistance. Okay. And remember that little technique that I taught you in one of the videos. If you're feeling resistance, if you're feeling fear and it feels like you're really holding on to it, can you say yes to letting go of just a little bit? just a little bit, and then a little bit more. And the mind is okay with letting go of just a little bit is safe. Okay. So that fear of losing money, if there's any fear there, can you say yes to the fear? Let it come up, let it pass through. And can you say yes to the fear some more? Let it come up, let it pass through. If there's any resistance, any wanting to hold on to the fear as though somehow that fear is going to protect you from losing the money that you have or losing your money in the future, can you say yes to the fear? Can you say yes to it? Even just let it go just a little bit. Can you let it come up and let it pass through? Is a fear serving you? Is it serving you in any way, shape, or form to hold on to that fear of losing your money? Be very honest with yourself. Fear is a very, very low vibration. When you're focused on what you don't want, you tend to create and attract what you don't want. So in reality, is that fear of losing money serving you? It is not. Are you willing to release and let it go? All right, now let's move on to fear of not enough money. So if you don't have as much money as you want, right, there's already some belief in you that you can't have as much as you want or as you need. So everything that is, all of that feeling of not enough and how maybe you're not enough, you can't have enough, you've never had enough, you probably never will have enough, there's just not enough. Notice what gets triggered. Can you say yes to the feelings? You say yes to them, let them come up, let them pass through. That feeling that there is not enough, that is definitely a scarcity mindset. It is a block to abundance. You are not in the vibration of abundance when you are in a state of lack, in a state of not enough. So can you say yes to the feeling? Let it come up, let it pass through. Are you willing to release and let that go? Is it serving you? Is it serving you to hold on to that old, false, limiting belief? How could that possibly help you? Are you willing to let it go? Can you say yes to the feeling? Let it come up, let it pass through. There's a fear there. Can you say yes to the fear? Fear that there is not enough, that there will not be enough, that you'll never have enough, that nothing is ever going to change. Can you say yes to the fear? Let it come up, let it pass through. Because when you release and let that go, what happens? You move from scarcity. When you let go of the scarcity, you move up the vibrational scale. And what's on the other end of that scale? So if scarcity is down here and we release holding on to the scarcity, now we start to naturally raise, okay? And what is on the other end there? If it's not scarcity, then what is it? It's abundance, okay? So can you say yes to abundance? It's a different energy maybe than you have fully embodied before. Might feel different. It might feel strange. There's a part of your mind that's saying, I don't know that feeling. Okay, but I challenge that because you have abundance in other areas of your life. So what are some of the areas that you have abundance? Do you have abundance of love? Maybe you have children. Oftentimes, even if you're having some challenges with them, you remember that feeling of unconditional love. Maybe when they were little, when they were babies or toddlers, and they're very, very, very loving. And there's a lot of that unconditional love. You experience an abundance of that. How about oxygen? Okay. There's an abundance of oxygen. You don't feel a sense of scarcity of oxygen 99% of the time, right? You have a knowing that there's more than enough. There's a trust. There's a sense of faith you know that it's there. It's just, you can live the rest of your life. You can be focused on everything else because you're not in a state of scarcity. Oh, where am I going to get my next breath? Right. And you're not holding it in. You're not holding on like, oh man, I just took this breath and there's not going to be enough oxygen. So I better hold it in as long as possible. Okay. You don't do that. Now we live in an infinite, expansive universe. We know that they're creating money like all the time. Okay. If you think about how much money is on this planet, just think about it for a moment. How much money is on this planet? How much money is just in the city that you live in? And I'm not even talking about all of the assets. I'm talking about actual like money in people's bank accounts, cash money that they have in their sock drawer. Okay. Money in the wallet. How much money is existing right now in your own town, your own city? Okay. There is an abundance. And now many of us have businesses that are not, they're not exclusive to our town. Okay. There's money that could be flowing into your life from the whole state that you're in. Okay. How much money is that? How about the country? Okay. And if you're an international company, I mean, really, you have access to so much abundance. I remember a long time ago, I was in a very bad financial situation, and I had my car broke down and it needed to be fixed, and it was going to be expensive, and I didn't know how I was going to buy a new car. And I was I think I was driving somebody else's vehicle to work or something like that. And I was driving down the interstate, and there's car dealerships along the interstate. And I remember looking and seeing how many cars were in that car dealership, and then realizing how many cars were for sale. Just even in my city, how many cars were for sale. And I started to realize how much abundance there were of cars. And that allowed me to change my mental and vibrational state. And just by focusing on how much abundance of cars there were, I was able to put myself into a different mindset and a different vibrational state. And when I went to the car dealership, I was still in the same situation, still had the same amount of money in my bank account, which was, I think, pretty much close to nothing at the time. And had no idea. At that point, I didn't have great credit. I had a job, but I didn't really have cash in the bank or cash available. And I just surrendered. I just knew there was an abundance. And in this abundant universe, I had no idea how the universe was going to partner me up with a car, but I just knew that there was abundance, and I surrendered. And somehow, some way, I left that car dealership with a brand new car, not a used car, not a late model car, a brand new car. Okay. And I remember that shift that I felt when I just started to contemplate and become aware of how incredibly much abundance there was. So do that with money. Okay. Expand your thinking. There really, truly is so incredibly much abundance. Now, you might be saying to yourself, that's wonderful, but how does that change the abundance in my life? You've got to remember that in this law-based universe, we manifest what we experience is a self-fulfilling prophecy based on our thoughts and our feelings, our beliefs, and our expectations. And if you don't believe it, I'm going to challenge you to look at any area of your life and really do an honest assessment of what your expectations are in that area of your life. Your expectations will show you what your beliefs are, and your beliefs are going to be mirrored in what you are experiencing in your reality. Okay. So if you don't like what you have in your life, then that's an inside job, right? We've got to start to change it from the inside out. Okay. But now when you start to change your thoughts, when you move your thoughts away from, I only have X number of dollars in the bank, and that doesn't feel good, to there is so much money all around me, like literally across the street, there's money. Further down the road, there's money. In this part of town, there's so much abundance. There's so much money. When you start to focus on the abundance that is actually existing, you are shifting your vibration from the vibration of focusing on lack to the vibration of focusing on abundance. Okay. Now think about this for a moment in a really, really practical way. If you spend less time focusing on lack and way more time focusing on abundance, you're going to be in the vibration of abundance way more often. And if our vibration is our point of creation, is our point of attraction, and if what we focus on becomes habitual patterns in the mind, which we call beliefs, can you see then how that is going to reinforce abundance in your life? So we want to pull you out of lack-based thinking and lack-based beliefs and start to create new mental conditioning that supports abundance. Okay. All right. Now let's move on to the next one here. Okay. Fear that more money is not coming. Okay. Kind of similar, but a little bit different. Okay. So if you've ever been in a situation, and for those of us who have been in business, this is quite common. Okay. Especially in the beginning, there tends to be sort of this feast or famine cycle in business, where you'll have maybe a really good month or a couple of good months and the money is flowing in more abundantly. And then for whatever reason, the money seems to dwindle down or dry up. The new clients are not flowing in, or new contracts, new deals, customers, whatever the situation may be. Okay. And when you have that experience over and over and over again, especially if you don't have another source of income, like if you don't have a job or income producing assets, that can be very, very scary. It can even create trauma. So now that trauma gets imprinted on the subconscious mind and can be easily triggered by what appears to be a similar situation, even if you've created in your business more consistency. And if left unchecked, now that can have that negative momentum, right? Where it starts to build negative momentum. And then what was a little bit of a fear that got triggered starts to create more and more thoughts. And now you're starting to feel more and more fears and doubts and insecurities, and that's building that negative momentum. And before you know it, you may still have money flowing in, but you're not even focused on that abundance. All you're focused in on is what if that next deal doesn't come through? What if that next, I don't have any new contracts? What if I don't have any new clients? What if this, that, or whatever, right? So then you get into those fear-based stories. So let's release on that. Okay. So can you say yes to the fear? Right? We're talking about that fear that more money it's not coming, right? As if somehow that abundance tap got shut off and you're just cut off from the flow. Okay. So can you say yes to the fear? Just let it come up, let it pass through. Can you give yourself permission to say yes to the fear? That fear is not serving you. But just notice, are you holding on? Are you holding on to the fear? Is there any resistance to saying yes to letting it go? Can you say yes to the resistance? It's just energy. Let it come up, let it pass through. Can you say yes to the resistance? And say yes some more. Right? And your mind may want to hold on, may want to hold on. Can you say yes to it anyway? And if your mind really wants to hold on, remember, could I let go of just a little bit of this fear? Maybe there's a story there, right? If you've had any type of traumatic experience, the mind sometimes will keep wanting to pull up that fear, right? Fear, we can't let this happen again. We can't let this happen again. So what is your mind telling you? And can you just say yes to it? Let it come up, let it pass through. Okay. Pull up some more of that fear. Can you say yes to the fear? Let it come up, let it pass through. So what if more does not come? What if you don't get the client? What if you don't get the deal? What if you don't get the contract? What if money just stops coming? Maybe you were affected during the pandemic. Maybe you had to shut down for a while. Maybe something else happened and there was a pause in the flow of your abundance. Is it serving you to hold on to that fear? Is it serving you to hold on to it? Can you let it go? Will you let it go? Now, if this is triggering any really sticky stuff, give yourself permission to take a little bit of additional time, maybe do some EFT on it. Remember, if you're really struggling with anything, to send your emails into support@aliciacramer.com. Okay. All right. So now let's move on to, fear of extreme financial hardship. Now, if you've ever had any type of major financial hardship, there can be a lot of trauma around that. If you've ever filed bankruptcy or had your home foreclosed on or went out of business, or if you witnessed your parents, maybe. If you ever were in a situation as a child where maybe there wasn't food to eat, or you couldn't afford to buy new clothes, or you just witnessed a lot of pain, emotional pain and fear, or shame, that can really create a lot of dense, heavy stuff in the subconscious mind. Okay. Are you willing to say yes to those feelings? Let them come up and let them pass through. And if it feels overwhelming, okay, because we're talking about something that maybe was a really, really heavy, painful experience. So if it feels like it's too much, too intense to just say yes to it, to let it come up and let it pass through, let's do just a little bit, okay? So can you give yourself permission to let go of just a little bit? Just a little bit. A little bit is safe. Can you let go of just a little bit? Can you let go of just a little bit more? Just a little bit. Just a little at a time. Can you let go of a little bit more? That fear, that pain, can you let go of just a little bit more? Can you give yourself permission to let it come up and let it pass through? Even if it's just a little bit at a time. It's safe to let go of a little bit of that old heavy energy. It is not serving you. It is not serving anyone. No one. Can you give yourself permission to let go of a little bit more? And pull up some more. Can you say yes to it? Let it come up, let it pass through. It's just old energy. Just give yourself permission to let it go. And if there's emotions, if there's sadness, if there's tears, just say yes to it. Just let it be okay. We're not repressing now. We're releasing. We're releasing in a healthy way. We're letting it go. It is not serving you to hold on to it anymore. There could be a deep sense of loss. Can you say yes to the feelings? Let it come up. Let it pass through. And maybe you're still judging yourself. Can you say yes to those feelings? Let them come up and let them pass through. Is it serving you to hold on to that anger, to that sadness, to that judgment, to whatever it is? Can you say yes to it? Let it come up, let it pass through. Maybe someone did something to you. Maybe someone stole from you. Maybe someone took something of yours. It was not theirs and they took it. And there might be anger and fear. There could be any number of different negative emotions. Can you give yourself permission to say yes to letting it come up and letting it pass through? We're releasing and letting it go. It's not serving you. It's holding you down. It's holding you back. It's heavy energy. It is not your highest truth. Are you willing to release and let it go? Now, if there's still a lot of heavy energy on this, just keep releasing. Okay, as I continue on, you can just keep releasing on this topic. You can listen to this audio over and over and over again as many times as you need to until you can feel yourself really let it all go. Okay. It is not serving you to hold on to it. It is not who you really are. It is putting a cap on your potential. If you think for a moment about when we are in our alignment, when we're in a higher state of creativity and inspiration, when we are passionate about what we're doing, we're in a very expansive state. We feel open, we feel light, we feel more creative. Our mind is more clear, and we're more intentional, and we're more productive, and everything just goes better. Okay. When we have triggered fear, okay, when fears, doubts, insecurities, old self-imposed limitations are triggered, notice it's a very, very different feeling. We become more constricted. We contract, okay? Our mind is no longer so clear. Now we really are very much focused on our limitation. And it is not the right mindset to create abundance, to create wealth. It's not the right mindset to be the best version of you. Okay. It's not serving us at all to allow those old things to hold us down, to hold us back. And it is my sincere intention and desire that you start to let this stuff go and really embrace the potential that is within you and allow yourself to say yes to who you really are without this stuff, because this stuff is not who you really are. And the things that you can do in life, who you can be, what you can create, what you can experience is so incredibly much more than what you've been living up to this point. But you've got to just be willing to drop all of this stuff. It is not true. It is not serving you. It is not protecting you. It is not helping you. If you can give yourself permission to just keep dropping this, releasing and letting this go, You're going to raise your vibration. You're going to enter into that expansive nature. You're going to be more and more and more and more and more of your full potential. You're going to think bigger. You're going to take bigger, bolder actions. You're going to do better, more incredible things with your life. You are going to be of greater service to everyone in your life. Okay. All right, so let's go through a couple more and then we're going to wrap this call up. Okay. God is punishing me and God doesn't love me. So this is a lot of pain, really. I mean, I can speak from personal experience. I remember in my upbringing, there were a lot of mixed messages about God's role in my life and God's role in all of our life. And regardless of what your religious beliefs are, or if you even consider yourself religious or spiritual or whatever it is, okay, there are going to be probably conflicting things in your subconscious mind on the subject of God and God's role in our life. And if you don't like to use the word God, if you prefer to use the word source or divinity, or even if you prefer to just refer to it as the universe, we're really keeping this open because we're all coming from the same place, regardless of what anyone's religious beliefs are. We're all coming from a foundation of love and truth. And so now if we look at what all of these conflicting beliefs are, we can start to feel how some of them are not serving us, okay? And you might have some mixed up messages in your subconscious mind from earlier conditioning or even current societal beliefs, okay, cultural beliefs. Now, if there is some type of belief that your life experiences, what you're experiencing in life is somehow divinely pushed upon you, I want you to just notice how that feels in your being. Does that feel empowering? And if you believe, on the other hand, in a loving God, there's a conflict there because it doesn't make sense. Why would a loving God do anything unloving? Okay. So this punishing thing, I think, does adversely affect a lot of people. And who's really punishing us, right? So sometimes well-meaning parents or various different family members or religious figures have their own mixed up messages and inner conflicts, and that can be projected onto us. And deep down inside of ourselves, especially as a beautiful little child who is much more in alignment with our inner being at that point, it doesn't feel right to us. But these are our authority figures. And so if they say it, right, must be true, right? But now, if it doesn't feel right, I want you to challenge it, okay? Because what if it's not God punishing you? What if you just maybe had some old programming that is not in alignment with what you want, and what you are experiencing is a result of the laws of the universe in action and not actually God violating the laws of the universe and slapping your hand, so to speak, for being naughty. And when we look back at childhood, and there can oftentimes be a lot of confusion around, well, why do bad things happen to innocent little children? Okay. When we remember that we live in a law-based universe, okay, nothing defies law. It is, and if you want to think of it this way and feel into it, if it's true for you, but if there is a God, and I believe that there is absolutely a a higher, more intelligent power that has created this universe and all of the laws that orchestrate and govern this universe that we are living within, then if God creates this environment with these laws and he sets these laws into motion so that everything keeps in harmonious orchestration, okay? Now, when we look at ourselves, whatever stage we're at, maybe we are just that little child, okay? Everything is operating within these laws, and we are given this free will to choose, right? And so our parents and other human beings, and we can choose, but notice that we can only choose within the confines of the law of the universe. So if somebody chooses that they want to go float off into, outer space, you can't do that. It doesn't operate within the laws unless you're utilizing other laws of the universe to create maybe like the law of lift, where you can get in the airplane and you can fly off, right? Because we're operating within the laws, okay? But just because you decide that you would like to violate the laws of the universe doesn't mean that you can. But if you choose to be unloving, you can. That's within our free will and choice. So now, if our parents decide that they're having a bad day and they're not going to take our crap, right, as a mischievous little person, and they decide to give us the slap on the hand or to punish us or put us into timeout or whatever it may be, that's still operating within the laws of the universe, okay? And so God is not going to say, oh, you can't do that because that's unloving. It's still operating within the set parameters, those laws of the universe, and it's operating within free will and choice. So we have to start to look at things objectively, to start to unravel some of these kind of superstitious beliefs that we've accumulated. And do I believe that God is loving? Absolutely. I do believe that there is the law of more life in this universe, and that is evidence of the law of love, okay? We see growth and expansion all around us. That, to me, is evidence of love, divine love. But again, notice that everything operates within the constructs of the law of the universe, okay? So if an individual sets an intention, maybe they want to take over the world, okay? Or see those cartoons, where there's, there's the evil genius who they want to take over the world. But there's only so far you can get, because if you try to defy the laws, the law of more life, you can't, right? You cannot defy the laws of the universe, okay? So even though they may be able to use their free will to do great harm to people, as long as it's within the laws of the universe, they're going to be able to get, they'll be able to fulfill that negative agenda. But there comes a point where they're pushing now, and they're going to hit that threshold where they go any further, okay, they're going to start to defy the laws of the universe. And that cannot be. It just simply cannot be. Okay. Now, this is a big topic, and I don't want to get too far off on a tangent, but I just did want to plant a couple of seeds between the distinction between some of our beliefs, which are not actually, they're not in alignment with the laws of the universe. And if they're not, then we've got to remember, if it's not a law, it's just a belief, and beliefs can be changed. Okay. So I want to ask you now, this belief that God is punishing you, if it's not law, then it's just a belief. Okay. Is that belief serving you? Is it serving you to believe that God is punishing you? And I'm going to say Probably not, right? And hopefully you're saying that too. And now challenge it, okay? Challenge it even further. Is it helping anyone at all for you to believe that, to believe in a punishing God? And if it's not serving you and it's not serving anyone else, and it's not a law of the universe, which means it's just a belief and beliefs can be changed, are you willing to let it go? Are you willing to let go of that belief? Notice it does not feel good because it's not in alignment with who you really are. Inside of you, if you feel into it, if you really feel in your heart, am I in a loving universe? Is God loving? Fundamentally, it should probably feel like a yes. And that yes response is your alignment with that higher truth. And when you ask yourself, is God punishing me? Does God not love me? Notice how that feels. And it probably feels different. It probably feels heavy. It probably feels like a different sensation in your body. And that is indicating to you a misalignment. It is not in alignment with your highest truth. Are you willing to let it go? Can you give yourself permission to let those feelings come up, those old hurts? Let them come up. Say yes to it. Let it come up. Let it pass through. Can you give yourself permission to let it go? All the times that you believed that God was punishing you, that God didn't love you, that bad things were happening to you because there was something wrong with you. God does not love you. All that old hurt, can you let it come up and let it pass through? Give yourself permission to release and let it go. It's not serving you. It's not serving anyone. And it's not even based on truth. So can you let it go? Will you let it go? All right. And our last one, I know this is some heavy stuff here, but you're doing great, and just let it go. Let it go. Let it go. It's not serving you. Okay. I'm not good enough and I'm not worth enough. Okay. So we know that worthiness is a big issue for a lot of people. And again, that comes from conditioning as children. We want something, and maybe our parents, because of their money mindset, they could not afford it, or they didn't feel comfortable giving it to us for whatever reason. And we internalize that as I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable enough. And then that carries through into our adult lives. And now we have this deep inner sense of, I'm not worth asking for that much money, or I'm not worth having that nice thing. I'm not worth the multi-million-dollar home. I'm not worth the thriving, successful business. I'm not, and it goes on and on and on. And so just notice how that feels. Can you say yes to the feeling? Let it come up, let it pass through. Is it serving you to hold on to that belief? It's just a belief. Is it serving you? Are you willing to let it go? And for those of us that are parents, this is one of those things where we are an example for our children. Do we want to be demonstrating these beliefs to them? Do we want them to be learning these limiting beliefs from us? And if it's not serving us, we know it's not going to serve them. And do you want that for the people that you care about, whether it's your children or your significant other or your clients or your customers or anyone at all? Are you willing to let it go? And who said you're not worthy and deserving of that big, beautiful house or that nice car or the new watch or the shoes or the anything? Who said? Who decided that? And even if somebody else said does that make it true? Are you going to limit your potential? Are you going to limit your gift and contribution to the world because somebody else in their misaligned state didn't feel worthy and therefore didn't want you to have it either? Are you willing to let it go? Are you willing to allow yourself to have what it is that your heart desires? If you have millions of dollars in the bank, you are not taking that money away from poor people. You're not. You not allowing yourself to have it does not change anybody else's circumstances because that is their own creation. You do not have to beg, borrow, or steal to have abundance. That's not even the vibration of abundance. There are people who appreciate what you do and what you have, and you are a gift and a contribution to them. And if you're saying no to yourself, you're not giving them the opportunity to say yes to themselves in the area that you could help them with. So you're not doing anyone any favors by playing small. Are you willing to let it go? Are you willing to allow yourself to be a millionaire, a multimillionaire, a billionaire, a trillionaire, if that's what you want? Are you willing to allow yourself to go there, to be that, to be an inspiration to others? You can't give what you don't have. How much more could you give if you were a multimillionaire? How much more could you give if you were a billionaire? How much more could you give to the people you care about, the things you care about, to help to create positive changes on this planet for other human beings? Money is an infinite resource. It is being created all the time. Why are you not saying yes to yourself? Because of old false beliefs that are not serving you. They're not based on law. They're not based on truth. Are you willing to let it go? Can you play with the idea of having money flow in easily and abundantly and feel comfortable and good about it? Because now you are able to be a giver of abundance, a giver of hope, a giver of inspiration, a giver of transformation. How much more can you share with your family, with the people you care about, when you allow yourself to be more abundant? So I'm going to wrap up this this session. And I want you to keep doing your inner work. And I encourage you to start to play in your own mind with, what does it feel like? What would it feel like to have the amount of money that I wrote on my goal? How would it feel to be a multimillionaire, to be a billionaire? How would that feel? And just play in that energy. Let it start to infiltrate your consciousness and change your cellular, molecular structure, to play in the vibration of that level of abundance to where it starts to feel normal. It starts to feel like, oh yeah, that's easy. That's comfortable. That feels good. Okay. Now here's the thing. We all have a different journey, a different way of manifesting that abundance. You'll feel called to do that. You're probably feeling called to do that through your business. And that might even evolve into other avenues and other opportunities in other ways. Just be open to it. You don't need to know exactly how it's going to happen. You couldn't possibly, right? But if you're clear on why do you want more money? Why do you want to allow yourself to be truly abundant, where money is flowing through your life with great ease and in abundant quantities. Why? What could that do for you? How could that change you? How could that change your family? How can you be a gift and a contribution with that amount of prosperity consciousness? And the what is likely already in your life, right? The vehicle is usually your business. And again, it may pivot and it may expand and it may grow, and new opportunities and new avenues to create more wealth will show up on your journey. But you've got to create the inner reality first. Okay. So enjoy playing in that vibration of abundance, and we will see you in the next video.